All right, welcome to part two of our triple waterfall edge table build. If you haven't watched part one, click here and go watch that one. This one is just going to be a little bit more instructional. It's my dad and I just kind of making all the cuts and putting everything together. We're assembling the black walnut table in this one. So the first one was a little bit more lighthearted, just teaching Steph how to use these woodworking tools and stuff like that. So anyway, go watch that one first. Come back here, watch this one, and I hope you enjoy. All right, it's a new day. We got our oak glued up, we got our pine glued up, and we got to work on the walnut yet. So we're going to get these in clamps to glue up the tops and the legs. We're going to start cutting our 45s for our legs on these, and yeah, and then we'll start sanding. Got my dad in the shop today. Steph's going to take a break, so we'll get this done. What do you think?
I think so. I hope so.
Me too. All right, so let's get to it.
No, the clamps weigh as much as the wood.
Those clamps are heavy, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to start cutting the 45s on our legs and our tabletop. Once again, we're going to start with the pine just in case we make any mistakes. Then we won't make those mistakes on the walnut and the white oak. So we're just going to use a miter saw on this. I have a track saw. I was thinking about using that, but we're going to try this miter saw and see how accurate it actually comes out. This thing is pretty accurate, so we're going to test it and run it through its paces. Dad's going to be doing the cutting, and I guess I'll be supervising. Get to work.
About time.
All right, y'all, we're making some progress here. The white oak and the pine are almost done. The walnut is still in clamps, but what we're going to do here is cut the mortises for the loose tenon joinery here. I've never done this before. That's why I did a practice run with the pine. Pine I just made just for practice. It's just a mock-up just to make sure everything goes smoothly. And it went smooth so far. So I've got these in. This is ready for assembly and glue up actually, but what we're going to do is cut those mortises in here and then slip these tenons in, and I'll show you the whole process of how I set it up and how I went about doing this. So main thing you want to do is get this seam right here, these 45s lined up perfect, and then clamp it down. Make sure these are decent clamps. You don't want this piece shifting around on you when you flip it over. So make sure they're nice and tight. All right, just using a tenon here to start the layout for my mortises. Just marking both sides of the tenon, and then just going to use a square to draw the lines, and we'll transfer those lines to the underside as well. Okay, so this is one of our tenons, and I drew a line in the center-ish, and then what we're doing here is getting the height of our bit set. And all we're doing is going to use the tenon itself. You just want to make sure your final cut with your bit, we're not going to take this entire cut in one pass. We're going to do it in two passes. And your final cut needs to be above that line. Okay, so like I said earlier, we want to make sure that our router bit doesn't blow through the top of our table. So if we cut down here, as you can tell, we're going to cut into this other one. We'll blow through the top of our table here and then into the leg. So we want to make sure that we're cut high enough. And let me grab the other one that actually has the half mark. So right about there is what we want to aim for. Yeah, right about there is fine. So that's about where we want to make our cut. In order to get that, we need to set the fence to the correct position on our trim router. Okay, yeah, that'll be our finished cut right there. That should be okay. We're not going to blow through the top, and like I said, we'll make this cut in 2 passes as well. We got all of our lines laid out correctly, and we'll go ahead and fire this thing up and make these cuts. So that was our first pass. Now we're going to lower our bit, and to make the final cut, the only thing we're going to do is just make sure we go to back to this line or past this line with our router bit. Probably a good idea to turn the vacuum on too. All right, if I was going to make any change to this build, I would go with 3 tenons instead of 2, and also instead of 1/4 inch, I would have gone with 3/8 of an inch for the thickness of the tenons. It came out pretty good in the end, but that's something I would have changed. All right, now let's test our fit. Oh yeah, that's going to fit perfect. I don't want to go too much more. I'm afraid I won't be able to get it out. And like I said, I just want to reiterate, just be careful when you're flipping it because you really don't want this to shift. And all right, the mortising went pretty well. We're going to do a dry run here and see if our alignment actually came out pretty good. The pine one did, so I'm hoping that this one turned out just as good. If this one turned out just as good as that one, I will definitely be happy, and that miter should come together pretty good. Actually. Hopefully I don't drop it. That would be bad. That slid right in. Whew. I'm out of breath. All right. I'll show you how that came out. That came out pretty good, actually. Okay, yeah, I am pretty happy. That came together pretty seamless. Very minimal sanding right here. And that should make for a nice miter joint, actually. Yeah, we'll have to pull that in slightly, but it's pretty square. I mean, it's not bad. All right, it's a new day here in the shop, and I'm by myself. Steph and her family, they loaded up their table and headed home. Everything came out great. It fit in their van perfect, so no issues there. We ended up not putting the finish on it. She's going to put the finish on. I had her do that Osmo Poly X oil. It's a hard wax oil. It's like super easy, impossible to mess it up. So she bought some of that, and they're going to put the finish on it and get me some pictures and stuff like that when they get it done and get it in their house in its resting place. But yeah, all in all, her table turned out great. So they're happy with it. I was happy with how it all went together. But now I'm turning my attention to our table, the walnut. I've got everything sanded down. All the miters are done. It's basically ready for assembly. But first, before I do that, I'm going to take care of some of these knots and imperfections. I got some 15-minute epoxy with some black dye, and I'm just going to fill in. I got a little checking going on right here that I wasn't able to cut off, so I'm just going to fill it with some epoxy just to stabilize it. Yeah, so we're getting close. The pine one I have sitting over there. I have not stained it yet. I'm going to try something new. I think I'm going to try a black stain on it. Don't know if it's going to work. So that'll be, I've never done a black stain on anything pine. This could be a bad idea. We'll find out. So yeah, everything has gone together pretty good. It's a pretty fun project. It was great having my sister and my dad here in the shop, just kind of hanging out. We were having fun more than anything. So Steph got to learn how to use some of these machines. She was, as you could tell in the video, she was loving the joiner, loving the router table and the table saw, and overcame some of her fears. And for the most part, she really enjoyed using this stuff. So if we lived in the same city, we'd probably be doing a lot of this together. But they live about 900 miles away. So maybe someday. But for now, yeah, we're going to take care of this walnut one, get this ready to go, and do some final sanding, and get this in clamp so it can cure and dry overnight. So All right, like I said, I filled in these knots and imperfections in this wood with 15-minute epoxy that I dyed black. And there wasn't too many spots. This wood was pretty clean, so there wasn't too much work to be done there. Let it cure and just went over it with a block plane and sanded it down smooth. While I was waiting for that epoxy to clear, I stained this pine table, actually. I stained it black, and I think it turned out pretty good. I'm curious to see what y'all think. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. All right, it's a new day. I wasn't able to get this in clamps last night. I had to run some errands and do some other odds and ends and hung out with family a little bit. So that's never a bad thing. But I was able to get all the knots filled with epoxy, let that cure, sanded it all down, got it all smoothed out. And now I'm ready for a dry fit. So I'm going to put the loose tenons in here and set one of the legs in and just see how this one comes together. I have not dry fit the walnut table yet. So, and like you saw in the video, I was able to get the pine table stained black. I'm kind of curious to see what y'all think of that. I think it's going to work. I think it'll be okay, actually. And I ended up having to like really sand that thing a ton. So it's just construction lumber, right? So you never know what you're going to get with that. But I started getting one of those boards in there was actually like peeling. This is the best way I can describe it, basically. But it was like it's like in pine where you get the harder orangey color part of the wood versus the real soft white color part of the wood. It was like separating right there. So it just kind of turned into a mess. So what I ended up doing is just sanded the crap out of it and beat it up a little bit, just kind of made it look rustic, so to speak. So and I think the black stain's going to work. It should be okay. It's just looks like an old beat up table. So but once again, I'm curious to see what y'all think I should sell it for. So anyway, I'm going to get to it. I'll quit talking, and I'm going to dry fit this. My dad's on his way over right now. He's going to help me get this entire thing glued up and in clamps, and we're going to let this sit for hours before we take it out of clamps. And then, yeah, then we'll get some finish on this thing. So I'm excited to get this done and move on to the next project. So let's get to it. All right. So like I say, we're going to do a little dry fit in here. We'll get these tenons hit in. There, got it. It's going to be pretty good, actually, once we get some clamps on there. Yeah, not bad. It came up pretty good. So once again, no domino, but this is working. All right, Pops is here. We're about to get this glued up. We got our jigs all set up. We're going to use Type-On 3 on this to help hide some of it dries darker, so it helps blend in better with the walnut. I'm ready. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right, we're going to get to it. Let's do this. All right, I just wanted to bring you in a little bit closer to show you exactly what's going on here. I made these clamping jigs in order to cinch down on this 45-degree miter right here. And it works really well, actually. It makes that miter just come together almost seamlessly. I was having a little bit of struggle here getting this gap to close up, and I just put this C-clamp on it, which gave me a little bit more pressure, and it cinched it right up. So, and as you can see, it turned out really square. We just put a brace on there for temporarily holding it in its square position. We'll let this cure in this position for a while. So I can't take credit for these clamping blocks or this jig. I actually saw it on YouTube it's actually the Wood Whisperers channel, which he's been around forever. Check his stuff out. He's awesome and definitely has taught me a ton of stuff. So yeah, this is one of the things I saw on his channel, and I was like, it works. So if you got any miters like this, you can do it on picture frames and all of that stuff too. I think on his channel, he actually did it in more of a picture frame fashion as opposed to a waterfall edge table. But anyway, just wanted to get you a little closer. All you're doing is just clamping these jigs on with a couple of C-clamps. If you got to put a lot of pressure, these things do tend to slide a little bit. So that's why I added 2 right here. C-clamps I found seem to work the best for this. So anyway, it's a good system. Give it a shot. Glue ups get a little stressful.
Want to taste?
Time for some Osmo Polyex oil. All right, guys, that's a wrap of our triple waterfall edge table build. Everything turned out pretty good. I had a lot of fun working with my dad and my sister in the shop. It was fun teaching Steph how to use some of these woodworking tools. She was having fun, so that made it fun for me as well. She had a lot of questions, and I loved answering them. It was great. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can click on the link in the description. You can follow me there for any updates that I do. I try to update on anything that I'm working on at the time. So if you made it to the end of the video, put in the comments, made it. That way I know you made it all the way to the end. And also I'm curious to see what you guys think on what I should sell that pine table for. What would it sell for? What would you sell it for in your market? And what you think I should sell it for as well. So leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all the things. If you have any questions, just leave in the comments. As soon as I see it, I will respond to any questions you guys have. With all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for the next project. Next project is I'm going to be working on a toy box for my daughter. So pretty quick, easy build. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. See ya.